I'm Patricia Conlon. I'm running to be the next Member of Parliament for Durham. I came to Durham almost 20 years ago with my late husband. I'm a mother, Christian, and run a small business. My late husband's great-grandfather was a respected leader in Durham, and Conlon Road in North Oshawa was named after him. I put my career on hold in 2021 when I witnessed unprecedented government overreach, and I couldn't stay silent. Since then, it's become very clear that only People's Party is standing with the people of Canada against an agenda that's global in nature and leaving people poorer, sicker, and more demoralized every day. It's time to elect a Canada First MP before the general election to hold Ottawa accountable. Only People's Party will reduce the mass unsustainable immigration to help solve the housing and healthcare crisis that we are facing, restore parental rights and protect women's spaces, remove the carbon tax and protect our farmers from net zero mandates, protect freedom of speech and medical choice, as well as protecting our constitutional rights of all people, irregardless of race, religion, or who they decide to be their partner. An important question on everyone's mind is, how does your party propose to work with municipalities to create jobs, foster innovation, and attract investment to Durham? Some ways that the People's Party will help to attract jobs in Durham include ensuring our businesses are never again subjected to unjust lockdowns that leave the globalist ones open and bankrupt our little businesses. The mandates failed miserably, and we must never allow that to happen again. Only People's Party spoke out against this. We will foster growth in the small medium business sector instead of limiting relationships to big globalist firms that do not reinvest profits in our region and our riding. We will remove the carbon tax to help relieve the cost burden for energy-intensive businesses and farmers, as well as small businesses and families. We're going to focus on reducing bureaucracy and red tape and help with innovation, for example, with the Cumbersome Planning Act. And we're going to encourage colleges and universities to focus on real skills and critical thinking, instead of ideologies like DEI that do not provide jobs and are discriminatory in nature. We're going to make sure there's proper screening for new immigrants based on skills and a desire to contribute to our Canadian economy instead of allowing Canada to become a welfare state. And finally, boost innovation, infrastructure, and capital improvements, and ensure all residents can earn a living wage and their salaries aren't being undercut by temporary foreign workers. One practice that's harming our economy that we're here to speak about today is DEI. These DEI policies were supported by the Liberal NDP Conservative Uniparty. Not only is DEI discriminatory, but it will harm job growth in Durham. So I stand against it. I've run an employment firm for over 25 years, and I understand deeply the benefit of job creation and meaningful work. I've helped thousands of Canadians and many wonderful new immigrants coming to Canada for a better life to find these wonderful jobs. In all my years, my company has always looked for the qualities of competency and character. I oppose DEI policies as they will destroy companies' abilities to hire motivated and skilled workers. They're outright discriminatory. DEI forces companies to hire based on the color of someone's skin and any other factor instead of merit or character. That's simply wrong. Je m'appelle Patricia Conlon et je me présente comme prochaine MP de Durham. Je suis arrivée à Durham il y a presque 20 ans avec mon défunt mari. Je suis mère et je dirige une petite entreprise depuis plus de 25 ans. L'arrière-grand-père de mon défunt mari était un leader respecté à Durham et Conlon Road à North Oshawa porte son nom. J'ai abandonné mon carrière réussie lorsque j'ai été témoin d'un excès sans précédent du gouvernement et que je n'ai pas pu rester silencieux. Depuis lors, il est devenu clair que seul le Parti populaire fédéral se tenir aux côtés du peuple canadien contre un programme mondialiste qui laisse les gens plus pauvres, plus malades et plus démoralisés chaque jour. Il est temps d'élire un premier député canadien avant les élections générales pour tenir Ottawa responsable. Seulement, le Parti populaire va réduire l'immigration pour aider à résoudre des crises de logement et des soins de santé, restaurer les droits parentaux et protéger les espaces réservés aux femmes, supprimer le taxe carbone pour protéger les agricultures et mandats net zéro, protéger la liberté d'expression et le choix médical. Merci beaucoup. Now I have the great honor and privilege of introducing the leader of our party, Maxime Bernier. Thank you very much.
Bonjour tout le monde. Merci d'être ici. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being with us. Today, I'm unveiling a new PPC policy on a very important issue, the diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. We hear about new absurd examples of these programs almost every day. For example, just a few weeks ago, we learned that the University of Waterloo wanted to hire 2 research chair positions in the computer science department. The first position was only open to applicants who self-identify as women, transgender, gender fluid, non-binary, or two-spirit. The second position was only open to applicants who self-identify as a member of a racialized minority. If you are straight or white, tough luck. The University of Waterloo does not want you. Our woke leaders do not believe in merit anymore. They undermine one of the key foundations of Western civilization. They tell us that diversity is more important than competence. We see this always, everywhere in Canada and also in the West countries today. The longer that this radical ideology is in place, the more things will fall apart and cease to function. Because decline is the only outcome when you prevent and penalize the most capable and competent. In a free society where everyone is equal under the law, competence, need, and other objective criteria that are fair for everyone must be the sole ones used by the state and other institutions in their dealings with citizens. It is time to restore equal rights for all. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is a far-left ideological fad imported from the US, which is being imposed on all sectors of Canadian society by the Liberal government. This hateful ideology holds that our culture and Western society is racist, colonialist, sexist, homophobic, and transphobic. According to this doctrine, equal treatment of individuals is insufficient, and it's always for unconscientious bias to still have an influence and result in discrimination and disparate outcomes. This systemic disadvantage can only be overcome by prescribing special treatments or reverse discrimination for minorities. The more a person can demonstrate that he or she belongs to various so-called disadvantaged groups, the more he or she should be favored by various programs. Conversely, it is acceptable or even prescribed to officially discriminate against white, Christian, and heterosexual males. DEI is a fundamentally racist, sexist, and discriminatory ideology that creates blatant injustices and undermines social cohesion. Under the pretext of promoting nice-sounding goals, it does the exact opposite. It gives more rights to some while excluding others. Our woke leaders, including the conservatives, have been working to destroy the good, proper morals that built and maintained our civilization for centuries. This ideology will have catastrophic long-term impacts on Canadian society. The Liberal government is imposing DEI programs and policies directly on public service and all federal institutions, including the armed forces, as well as on federally regulated industries. As a condition to obtain subsidies, grants, loans, scholarships, services, or contracts, the government is also indirectly forcing all kinds of institutions, organizations, associations, and businesses to adopt DEI policies. Trudeau and his government push a delusional and anti-Canadian vision. We must realign our priorities in Canada. We must prioritize unity over diversity, equality of rights over equity, and meritocracy over inclusion. A People's Party government will take the following step to eliminate this toxic ideology from our society and country. A People's Party government will abolish all federal DEI programs and policies in public service and in federal institutions, such as the armed forces, as well as those that apply to federally regulated industries. It will prohibit DEI training sessions in all federal institutions. It will remove all DEI clauses imposed on institutions, organizations, associations, and businesses as a condition to obtain federal subsidies, grants, loans, scholarships, services, or contracts. A People Party government will stop funding groups that promote the DEI ideology. It will narrowly interpret Section 15.2 of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms in a manner that prescribes reverse discrimination in all legal proceedings. And finally, a People's Party government will support Canadians who are being discriminated against, harassed, vilified, or harmed in any way by organizations that impose DEI programs and policies. I will now make the same announcement in French. Bonjour à tous, merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. Je dévoile une nouvelle politique du Parti populaire sur un sujet très important, les programmes d'équité, diversité et inclusion. Presque tous les jours, nous entendons parler de nouveaux exemples absurdes de ces programmes. Par exemple, il y a quelques semaines, nous avons appris que l'Université de Waterloo souhaitait recruter 2 titulaires de chaires de recherche au sein du département d'informatique. Le premier poste n'était couvert qu'aux candidats qui s'identifient comme femmes, transgenres, fluides, non-binaires ou bispirituels. La seconde position n'était ouverte qu'aux candidats qui s'identifient comme membres d'une minorité racialisée. Eh bien, si vous êtes hétérosexuel ou blanc, pas de chance, l'Université de Waterloo ne veut pas de vous. Nos leaders woke ne croient plus au mérite. Ils sapent l'un des fondements essentiels de la civilisation occidentale. On nous dit que la diversité est plus importante que la compétence. On le voit aujourd'hui partout au Canada et dans les pays occidentaux. Plus cette idéologie radicale perdurera, plus les choses s'effondreront et cesseront de fonctionner. Parce que le déclin est la seule issue possible lorsqu'on empêche et pénalise les plus capables et les plus méritants. Dans une société libre où tous sont égaux devant la loi, la compétence, le besoin et d'autres critères objectifs, équitables pour tous, doivent être les seuls critères utilisés par l'État et les autres institutions dans leurs relations avec les citoyens. Il est temps maintenant de rétablir l'égalité des droits pour tous. Les notions d'équité, de diversité et d'inclusion, ou EDI pour utiliser l'abréviation courante, sont une mode idéologique d'extrême gauche importée des États-Unis que le gouvernement libéral est en train d'imposer à tous les secteurs de la société canadienne. Cette idéologie haineuse soutient que la culture dominante et l'ensemble de la structure institutionnelle des sociétés occidentales sont irrémédiablement racistes, colonialistes, sexistes, homophobes et transphobes. Selon cette doctrine, la simple neutralité ou l'égalité de traitement des individus est insuffisante car elle permet aux préjugés inconscients d'avoir encore une influence et d'entraîner de la discrimination et des résultats disparates. Ce désavantage systémique ne peut être surmonté qu'en prescrivant un traitement spécial ou une discrimination inversée pour les minorités. Selon eux, plus une personne peut démontrer qu'elle appartient à divers groupes dits défavorisés, plus elle devrait être favorisée par divers programmes. À l'inverse, il est acceptable et voire prescrit de discriminer officiellement les hommes blancs, chrétiens et hétérosexuels. L'EDI est une idéologie foncièrement raciste, sexiste et discriminatoire qui crée des injustices flagrantes et sape la cohésion sociale. Sous le prétexte de promouvoir des objectifs qui paraissent nobles, elle fait exactement le contraire. Elle accorde injustement plus de droits à certains tout en excluant d'autres personnes. Nos dirigeants woke, incluant les conservateurs, ont travaillé pour détruire la base morale qui a construit et maintenu notre civilisation pendant des siècles. Cette idéologie aura des conséquences catastrophiques à long terme sur la société canadienne. Le gouvernement libéral impose des programmes et des politiques de EDI directement à la fonction publique et à toutes les institutions fédérales, y compris les Forces armées canadiennes, ainsi qu'aux industries réglementées par le gouvernement fédéral. Pour obtenir des subventions, prêts, bourses, services ou contrats, le gouvernement oblige aussi indirectement toutes sortes d'institutions, d'organisations, d'associations et d'entreprises à adopter des politiques de EDI. Trudeau et son gouvernement défendent une vision déconnectée de la réalité canadienne et une vision anti-canadienne. Nous devons réaligner nos priorités au Canada. Nous devons donner la priorité à l'égalité des droits plutôt qu'à l'équité et à l'unité plutôt qu'à la diversité et à la médiocratie plutôt qu'à l'inclusion. Un gouvernement du Parti populaire prendra les mesures suivantes pour éliminer cette idéologie toxique de notre société et de notre pays. Un gouvernement du Parti populaire abolira tous les programmes et politiques de EDI dans la fonction publique et dans les institutions fédérales telles que les Forces armées, ainsi que ceux qui s'appliquent aux industries réglementées par le gouvernement fédéral. Il interdira les sessions de formation de EDI dans toutes les institutions fédérales. Il supprimera toutes les clauses d'EDI imposées aux institutions, organisations, associations et entreprises comme condition pour obtenir des subventions, prêts, bourses, services ou contrats fédéraux. Un gouvernement du Parti populaire cessera de financer les groupes qui font la promotion de l'idéologie de l'EDI. Il interprétera étroitement dans toutes les procédures judiciaires l'article 15.2 de la Charte des droits et libertés de manière à proscrire la discrimination inversée. Enfin, un gouvernement du Parti populaire soutiendra les Canadiens qui sont victimes de discrimination, de harcèlement et de diffamation ou de préjudice de quelconque manière que ce soit de la part d'organisations qui imposent des programmes et des politiques de EDI. Là-dessus, merci beaucoup et je suis prêt à répondre à quelques questions. Thank you very much, everybody. And now I'm ready to answer some questions.
Thank you, everybody, for attending and listening to the policy announcement. If you have a question, please click the button to raise your hand and I will call on you. Kian, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Hi there, Max. We were looking at party records on the website and saw that you were claiming a salary of $104,000 per year. I'd also saw on the website that over the last 7 months, not a single press release has been released. I'm curious what it is that is going on at the party between these elections.
Kian, do you have a question that is relevant to the policy announcement?
Sure, I could ask another question. Public polling shows that the party is currently sitting in the low single digits. Do you have any sort of idea if the Durham region is going to vote differently than the general public?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe that, we have a great candidate, Patricia. She's working very hard. I was with her a couple of days campaigning, and that's a nice opportunity. Why? Because it's a by-election, and, you cannot get rid of the Trudeau government in a by-election. And I know that people who are, like us, fighting for regaining our country, for freedoms, and also to end all these crazy and radical ideologies like the one that I just spoke with, the diversity, equity, and inclusion. We need to be sure that we will be able in Canada to do the best for our country. So that's why I believe that Patricia is in a great position to be able to do a very good in that by-election. Patricia?
Thank you, Maxime. I wanted to also add to answer your question. Only People's Party is taking the stand that the people of Durham are looking for. They recognize we have a fake conservative. He was a former Liberal. He hasn't showed up for one interview. He didn't show up for the debate either. And people notice that. We have the Liberal candidate who, months ago was wanting to be the Conservative candidate. People see through this. They see that the real issues aren't being addressed. There's slogans, common sense acts the tax, that are just repeated over and over, empty words. They're looking for a person who represents Durham to Ottawa. I think we have to get away from that blue versus red and look for someone with integrity and courage and honesty to do right by the people. Never has it been more important to vote differently and have the courage to vote for the party, the only party that stood up for Canadians. It's clear that all parties voted to remove parental rights, including the Conservatives with Bill C-4. That has caused a disaster in the schools with these radical ideologies. It's clear that the only party that will support lowering immigration to solve the housing crisis and the healthcare crisis is People's Party. And almost every immigrant I've spoken with agrees with this. And it's clear that all of the gross government overreach isn't being stopped by the Conservative Party, and that the candidate doesn't care enough to show up and talk about real issues. I think we have an excellent shot. It's our intention to do very well, and I believe that we will. Thank you.
Are there any other questions from the floor? If there are no further questions, we will end this stream now. Thank you, everybody, for attending.